problem this country has is being politically correct. I've been challenged by so many people, and I don't frankly have time for total political correctness. And to be honest with you, this country doesn't have time either.
Yes, political correctness is out. American exceptionalism is back, ready to re-empower our republic as one nation under God by restoring our unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives, with your host, John Matthews.
It's a latter-day prophet, vying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts of the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos. And greetings, how are we doing out there? All across this great land of ours and around the world. It's that time for the Conservative Syndicate, nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, where it's prime time, sometime, all the time, somewhere. And we're glad to have you with us today, and hope you're ready for another day of broadcasting excellence. We try our best here at the Conservative Syndicate to do three things, and that is to educate, inform, and engage you, our listening audience, on the politics of religion and the religion of politics. And we're glad to have you with us today. My co-host and partner in crime, Joe Hakos, is out today, feeling a little bit under the weather and deserving of some time off anyway, since he covered for me for the better part of 2 weeks here while we jaunted over to the Philippines. And so he will be gone today, but I'm sure he'll be back on Monday. And we wish him well. We wish him well. Let's see, what else we got going on today? We'll have Bob Cardosa with us at the bottom of the hour from Robert Cardosa Live. And we'll be talking with Bob about some of the things going on. Boy, it's been a busy week, has it not? A lot of things going on out there. Confirmations, nominations, arguments, debates, town hall meetings, just the full gauntlet here. Even weather issues out here in California. Major dam busted because of the fact that we spend so much money saving the spotted salmon or something like that, or the spotted mouse, field mouse out here, that we don't spend any money on keeping our infrastructure. You would think maybe the fact that Governor Moonbeam Jerry Brown thinks that because he has declared a drought out here in California, that dams don't need to be updated. They don't need to be upgraded. They don't need to be maintained because, after all, there's no water out there. But nature once again has proved him wrong. Dam bursting out here because of lack of integrity. With the weather that we've been having out here in California, a lot of rain. We got more rain scheduled coming in, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens up north in terms of that going on. But what I hope to do today, over the course of the day, is tie up some loose ends. There's several things that we talked about during the week, some in detail, some in not, and I want to kind of tie up some loose ends in that regard, because some of the things that we've been talking about, like I said, it's been so hectic. And then when we bring on our contributors, we try to taper or go in the direction that they are going as to keep everything in some type of fluidity. And anyway, I had mentioned yesterday briefly about the appointment of Ajit Pai to the FCC chairman's position. Tom Wheeler stepped down after the defeat of Hillary Clinton in last November's election. And Ajit Pai is one of the few allies that we conservatives have out there within the Washington bureaucracy. And he rescinded what he referred to as a midnight regulation, and that is the subsidizing with federal tax dollars Internet for the poor. and for those who cannot or may not be able to afford the price of internet access, and another wasteful use of taxpayer dollars as we continue the leftist agenda of wealth redistribution in hopes of making everyone equally impoverished and subject to government intervention in every aspect of our lives. And I had talked about that briefly yesterday. I believe it was towards the end of the show because we were running out of time. And I wanted to just kind of reiterate a little bit about this, what took place with this rescension, the rescinding of this law or this regulation. It's not law, regulation. We reported here in the middle of last year, I believe it was, the FCC, at the direction of Barack Obama, overreached and took control of the internet under what they call net neutrality clause, meaning that the FCC was going to regulate what providers could and could not do in terms of giving access to their customers. And we pointed out very plainly what we believe is it's the first step in basically nationalizing the internet, putting everything under government jurisdiction. We've had subsequent actions by Barack Obama just prior to him leaving office. The Homeland Security wanting to look at things like voting machines and stuff like that under the infrastructure of the federal government. The Fairness Doctrine being redefined as the government's ability in cases of cybersecurity of being able to run the internet and oversee it and apply regulations, this, that, and the other. So it was an attempt to nationalize and put the internet under government control and rules for the purpose of silencing opposition, not for the purpose of distributing internet access to the poor. That was only the cover story. That was the guise. That was the avenue by which they want to gain access of controlling the internet in its entirety. And so anyway, Ajit Pai has rescinded that regulation. And I just wanted to make you aware of what that really entails. The net neutrality clause that the FCC implemented during Tom Wheeler's last days as FCC chair was to give $9.25 a month credit to those that they felt couldn't afford the internet. And, of course, the argument being presented now by Mr. Pai, rescinding this regulation, is that the children are going to suffer. The children are going to suffer, the poor are going to suffer, and the elderly are going to suffer. The human shields are being trotted out. And when we look at Khajiit, founder Daniel Neal, a company called Khajiit, which was one of the companies affected by the rescinding of this regulation by Ajit Pai, is that this company was providing internet to the poor kids out there so that they could do their homework. See, the human shields there, and apparently they're upset now that the government basically won't be subsidizing this, and it goes back to basically supply and demand economics. And, and they go on to say that there's such a distinct gap in U.S. broadband penetration, particularly among seniors, minorities, and the poor. So the internet providers that were affected by this rescinding of this regulation by Ajit Pai at the FCC are concerned that they're not going to get paid. That's what it really comes down to. They're not going to get paid for giving access to the poor, to the minorities, to the elderly. And so the whole issue is, well, if you're so concerned about the children, then why don't you just give them that internet access? Why do you have to be paid for it? If you're such a democratic socialist in your business plan and the way that you look at things, why the big deal about this $9.25 credit that you're giving to the poor? Why not give it to them anyway? Well, in fact, why not lower the price so that perhaps more people who don't fall within your categories would have access to the internet or be able to afford it? There's a thought. Why don't you enact supply side economics? Make it more affordable across the board. But the idea that, we're doing good for the good of humanity as long as the government's paying us for it. But if we have to absorb the cost, well, then we just can't do that. It's not uncommon thought, very much in line with what's going on with the Obamacare repeal, something where we hope to touch on today with the confirmation of new HHS head Tom Price. And what's going to be happening here with Obamacare. I'm not really sure what's going to happen. I'm not so sure that it's going to be such a traumatic changeover as everybody's hoping it to be. Because as of right now, I see Trump making moves on things, but not everything is in line exactly with what we who voted for him, supported him, really expect to see happen. So anyway, we got to go to our first break. When we come back, we'll get more into today's festivities and topics. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. We're not arguing. We're explaining why we're right. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. 866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you have been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Now back to the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. All right. We're back. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, who's off today. As I said, feeling a little bit under the weather. And so we just said, hey, yeah, do your thing, man. Take time off. Get that back stretched out and just rest up. Well-deserved time off anyways. Joe did such a fantastic bang-up job while we were on vacation. And he deserves the time. Okay, getting back here. Let's get back here. There's a couple of topics here, or a couple of issues, or a couple of events. Let's put it that way. And I'm going to kind of talk about them in sequence here of some sort and try to tie them all together here during this particular segment here. There's reports out there of some what they refer to as rocky town halls going on. Some of these people, representatives, particularly the Republicans, House of Representative types, are going to town halls in their respective states and meeting a lot of resistance and opposition and angry, boisterous crowds. And, of course, most of these people, it's not hard to ascertain that most of these people are not actually Republicans coming to these town halls. And I guess my opening comment on this is how well this exemplifies and demonstrates how quickly and how good the left is at organizing. We have to give credit where credit is due. As much as I hate to do that, I have to be fair and objective in this regard. The left has become very, very good at organizing. They have entire organizations who are on call to do things just like this, to show up at rallies, to show up at speeches, to show up at town halls, to show up whenever and wherever they need to be gathered together for the purpose of making it look like there's some kind of spontaneous grassroots coalition that's forming, much like the Tea Party. I'm even seeing articles now how the media is trying to portray the onslaught of demonstrations and protests and violence and everything else, riots, all the other stuff that's going on, as results of spontaneity, in line and very much compared to the Tea Party movement, which broke loose back in 2010, 2011. Of course, I find it rather ironic that comparison is being made, since the left has for so many years now has tried to disclaim that the Tea Party is actually relevant, that it is irrelevant. It's an AstroTurf movement, not really the real deal, but yet the comparisons are being made. But the point being is that Republican lawmakers are being confronted by what the media calls their constituents. Again, I'm not so sure that that's the case. Because, like I said, the left has all these organizations that can just be, ignited at any particular moment. And you can always tell that they're not so spontaneous when you see people showing up with hundreds of pre-printed signs. I think I've mentioned it many times in this show that you can't get pre-printing like that within 24 hours. It just doesn't work. There's a whole process that goes on in the printing industry that just disallows that. You can normally within 48 hours if you pay a lot of money for it. But the point being is that these things are all set up in advance, in my opinion. Now, that's not to say I'm not going off into the fringe saying that every single person that shows up at a rally or an event or anything like that is somebody that's paid to be there. That's not what I'm saying. I believe that there's a certain number of people that are assigned to do this kind of stuff. We've documented on this show that there are actual organizations that were paid to show up at Trump rallies and try to incite violence in order to get media attention, and then blame it on Trump people for starting the violence and things like that. And I'm not by any stretch of the imagination buying into the idea that every single person that shows up at a riot or a protest is somebody who's paid to be there. What I am saying is that these people are paid to incite. And one of the things they can do, especially at college campuses, is that you just need a few people out there voicing concerns. You get somebody walking around the campus with a megaphone or posting posters on the halls, the study hall bulletin boards and stuff like that. And you're going to gather people just, if nothing else, out of curiosity. But you are also going to gather people who are in line with your views. And the left is just very good at doing this. Whereas people on the right, and I think rightfully so, the reason why the right is so slow to respond and organize to the same degree the left is because many of us on the right actually have other things to do with our life. There's the thing. The left has created an entire demographic of people sitting on their asses every day doing nothing but waiting for the next thing to cry and whine about. Sitting in front of the TV watching Rachel Madcow or Chris Matthews, just waiting, for the bell to go off, like pigs at a trough. Oh yeah, they hear the sound of that food hitting the trough and boom, they're off. And whereas many on the right, actually, they work jobs, they have families that they want to raise and spend time with their families. They've got other activities in their life, trying to enjoy the prosperity that they earn and things like that. So, and this has always been my belief. This is the foundation as to why the left has been able to advance so quickly, or not quickly, but progressively over the last 4 or 5 decades, is because the class of people that they appeal to are people that are dependent on the government and not really out there. They're not out there looking for jobs. They're not out there working for say. And again, that's a generalization. That's not saying that every single liberal doesn't have a job. I think that, I'm not trying to stretch this out to mean that we have half the country doing absolutely nothing with their lives. But I am saying that there is a large segment of the country that is so disgruntled and becomes so disenfranchised and so either guilty about being white or guilty about being wealthy or whatever. And, it builds up, it's got its own synergy. It builds up its own momentum. And the left, as organizers, know how to tap into this. And so we have here, like Representative Jason Javits out of Utah, who won his reelection by 73% of the vote in Utah, shows up to a town hall and finds himself being confronted by opposition. People out there ranting and yelling at him that he needs to do his job, that they need to do something about Trump. And, why aren't they nailing him for conflict of business interests? Chavez is telling them, you may not like it, but presidents are not subject to conflict of interest. If that was the case, we certainly should have seen Hillary Clinton fall by the wayside, because as an elected official with the Clinton Foundation, we all know what happened with that. We all know that, and the proof in that is the fact that once she did not win election, the Clinton Foundation basically dried up. The donors dried up. So the fact is that there is no real conflict of interest according to laws. And when Representative Chavis kind of reiterates this to the crowd, but the crowd doesn't care about law. The crowd, the mob. It's the mob. It's ruled by the mob. That's what democracy is today. It's ruled by the mob. And so there are people out there, having to deal with this stuff. We had, what's his name? Jimmy Duncan out in Tennessee refused to do a town hall because he didn't want to deal with all these angry, hateful Democrats and liberals. He said, I'm not gonna be dealing with these people. I got better things to do, So, and I've never seen so many sore losers as there are today, he stated in a letter. And that's what it's really all about. The Democrats are sore losers. The people that sit there and tried to walk the high ground and tout the high ground during the entire election process. Donald Trump won't accept the election results, and yet they're out there in full force doing everything they can. And by the way, in collaboration with Republican establishment types. Something that we heard about yesterday from our contributor, Scott Faulkner, who is working with the Trump transition team, is that there is deeply embedded in Washington, in the White House, amongst the staff, loyalists to Obama and loyalists to Romney and people like Jeb Bush. And they're doing everything they can to drag their knuckles and slow down Trump's ascent into his administration. So, anyway, so how does that work into things? How does that work into things? Well, let's say at the Chavez gathering, it seemed to be the general theme was all about health care, about the fact that the Republicans are talking about repealing and replacing Obamacare, something we on this show, the Conservative Syndicate, are very much against. We're not against repealing, we are against replacing. We believe that it should be turned back over to the private sector. People say, well, what should we do about those who didn't have insurance before but now have it because of Obamacare? I'm sorry, my opinion is tough cookies, It's like if you want to create an environment where people can afford health care, well, then you need to create more competition. Let's do something about the pharmaceuticals that have a monopoly on the pharmaceutical, on the pharmacies, on the medication today in this country. Let's open the borders. Let's allow competition from Canada and Mexico and even overseas. And let's see if that can't drive down the cost to make it a little bit more affordable. Let's do something like that. How about this? How about if we just turn healthcare over to the respective states and let them deal with it? If there are people in a particular state want to be taxed for the purpose of creating subsidized health care within that state, hey, go for it. But don't do it at the federal level, because the federal government has proven over 200 plus years that when they get involved in this kind of thing, especially private sector enterprise, they screw it up, and they screw it up big. And a lot of times it becomes irreparable. You can't repair it. You can't fix it. So we're stuck. And we see that with Social Security, Medicare, some of the other already embedded programs going on out here in the country. And all of them on the verge of bankruptcy. But we can't do anything to reform it because everybody's afraid that reform will mean that, grandma won't get her medicine or whatever. There's ways of getting out of the private sector's way, opening up the lines of competition, removing borders, things like that would bring in the type of free market enterprise economics that we need to let the system and the entire industry reform itself. You give them more freeway, more leeway, and you bring in more competition, and I guarantee you cost will go down, membership will go up, and we'll still have accomplished what the goal is, the humanitarian goal of giving everybody access to health care. So that goes into the next sequence here of what I'm talking about. Okay, so Obamacare seems to be the issue, which means the left is out there with their organizations, and they're inciting people to show up and do everything they can to voice opposition to the replacement of Obamacare. Well, I'm all for that. That's free speech. That's actually our obligation as citizens to voice something if we're concerned. But one of the things I'm really concerned about is something I'm seeing more and more is that people are showing up to protest. And this, once again, gives me the impression that they're just hired to do things. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them, when they're being interviewed on camera, they can't even express what it is they're protesting for. They're just there. And so that tells me that there's something wrong there. People are protesting, but not even really understanding what it is they're protesting about. But the issue at this point in time seems to be Obamacare. Well, we hear of all the opposition against the newly appointed current HHS head, Tom Price. And when I get back from the break here, or maybe we got Bob Cardoso coming up, so it'll probably be later on, I'm going to expound on this. Why the opposition against Tom Price, and why the eventual confirmation? Because there is an objective here by the left to have somebody like Tom Price heading up the HHS. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook, and you'll be included in contest and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Expand your life with Expandovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Expand your life with Expandovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-380-2906. That's 800-380-2906. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-380-2906.
Now back to the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. All right, hey, we are back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we're going to try to hook up right now with our good friend, Bob Cardoso, over at Robert Cardoso Live, and see what he's up to.
Hey, John, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing, my friend? Long time no hear.
Man, I guess. I was thinking that you were never going to come back from the Philippines, for God's sakes.
Well, I got to be honest with you. We talked about it.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It's been something on my heart for a number of years to actually retire over there. The only situation we have right now is because of Lourdes' health condition. If we went to the Philippines, we would have to absorb the cost for medication. So that'd be a bit of a stretch. I mean, we could do well over in the Philippines between us, pensions and Social Security and everything, but a lot of it would end up going to medication, and that's just a little bit beyond our reach right now. So other than that, we'd be gone already.
Well, you know what? Let's hope that the situation changes and that you'll be able to do what you like.
Well, we'll see. I mean, it depends. Let's see how we get through this next 4 years. And what we see at the end of the road, you know.
But you know, it's interesting. There's been no lack of news or lack of things to talk about since January the 20th. Man, it has just been hitting hot and heavy. There's no lack of interest either.
I got to tell you, I was so overwhelmed when I came back because when my time over in the Philippines, where we were at, internet access was virtually unattainable. The cost of internet in the Philippines is really, a lot. Just for internet, it's about $100 a month, and you're talking about getting internet with families. Their average wage is maybe $10-15 a day. So where we were at, it was inaccessible. So I had to use my granddaughter's Facebook account because they get free data on Facebook. When they buy their phones, and the phones are all prepaid too. You don't use a phone and then pay. You pay up front, and so I that's how I had to communicate with Joe using my granddaughter's Facebook account. So
hey, you know what? You're gonna become a social media guru, right?
Well, the point being is that I was very much out of tune with what was going on over here. We'd hear little blurbs on the news every now and then, but the Philippines is a microcosm of democratic socialism, and so a lot of what I was hearing on the news over there, I knew was pretty skewed. It's all, and the big issue over there, of course, is immigration. So that's the big thing, and they don't talk much else about anything else. And then they got their own issues. Rodrigo Duterte, their president over there, who's just really good at pissing everybody off.
Well, we got one of those too.
Yeah, and in fact, I spent many nights with my granddaughter and grandson, the youngest ones, talking politics because they were asking me to explain different things. My granddaughter once again finished number 4 in her entire class. How
old is she, John?
Huh?
How old is she?
She's 17, and she missed being number 1 this year by less than half a point.
Wow!
I mean, it was like, but anyway, her highest, the class that she scores the highest in is civics and politics. And
wow! So you two had to get along really well.
Oh, we had some great conversations. She was asking me, the difference between socialism and Marxism and communism. She didn't quite grasp that. She knew what they were, but she said they sound so much alike. So we spent time talking about that and the difference between that and capitalism and democratic socialism and stuff. And she was able to grasp pretty much what I was saying. So it was fun. But the point being is, I didn't hear a whole lot. And then I get back, as soon as we get back across the ADIZ, in the airplane, and I start trying to catch up with everything, I'm like, oh, my God.
I wanted to ask you, your 17-year-old granddaughter, I'm sure that she was tremendously respectful of you, but did she accept everything you said verbatim just because you said it, or did she question any of the things that you had shared with her?
Well, what the discussion, most of the discussion was about whether or not what she was hearing was true. And that's, we spent a lot of time talking about fake news. And the difference between propaganda and news. And a lot of things, it's not that she disagreed with me. She would express to me what she's being taught. And that was the whole purpose of having the conversation in the first place. I wanted to know, what are they teaching you? How are they? The Philippine education system is, I think, leaps and bounds beyond what we have here in America. I mean, I asked her, have you taken algebra and geometry? She goes, oh, we did that 4 years ago.
Oh my!
And she's taking a class right now, which I found fascinating, called reasoning and statistics and reasoning.
God forbid that anyone would take a class in reasoning.
Well, it was just it blew me away. Some of the classes, and as soon as I got back, this really got me. As soon as I got back, she sends me a message and she says, "Grandpa, I've got to do a paper on homosexuality. And I need you to give me some Bible scriptures so that I can explain the biblical view on homosexuality." And I'm like, this is in public school?
Wow. Yeah, don't hold your breath for it to happen here. But I'll tell you what, how wonderful is that? And not only is it wonderful, but I think it's wonderful that she's got a grandfather that she can call upon for that kind of input.
Oh, yeah. They actually teach over there. They have comparative religion classes over there, where they talk about all religions, and
don't you agree that they should?
Absolutely, I'm all for that. I don't believe in censorship when it comes to academics. I think everything should be open to discussion and debate. That's
absolutely. I don't believe in censorship in academics, but I also do believe in peaceful protests where damages are not incurred. Yeah. I think that there's a right for that too. But boy, I'll tell you what, somehow in our country that's gone out the window.
Yeah, well, when we in this country we don't have protests anymore. They're called riots. And, and there's a big difference.
Matter of fact, that's the difference. A group with a leader they call a country. A group without a leader they call a mob, and that's what they're dealing with in these protests.
Well, I was just talking about before I brought you on the show here. I was just talking about how hard it is for me to acknowledge and verify or validate that one of the things the left is so good at doing is organizing and making it look like it's spontaneous. When And in fact, when everything is so well planned out, I always say, whenever I hear about spontaneous protests, the first thing I do is I go looking for pictures. And when I see all the pre-printed signs, and I go, I was in the printing business for a number of years, and I know there is no way in hell you're going to get 1,000 pre-printed signs in less than 24 hours.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
It's amazing the wool that's pulled over our eyes here in this country. And, and I don't mean to take you off that subject, but you know what? When I am so infuriated by the news media today. They're talking about Ivanka Trump and Nordstrom, and they're talking about Donald Trump should never have said anything. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. It was okay for Truman to protect his daughter. And you know what? If somebody said something, I don't care if I was president or prime minister or whatever it is, or Queen of England, if somebody said something about my daughter or my son, I'd jump all over him like a wet blanket. Nobody'd be able to stop me. Just because he's president of the United States, he can't defend his daughter? I think that's all wrong.
Oh, yeah. Well, we were talking yesterday. The best example we could come up with was Harry Truman addressing a reporter who once said his daughter was, a terrible singer. And Truman pretty much said, I hope I meet you someday because I'm going to rearrange your face.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? And that's the way it ought to be. And then, you know what? I mean, the news media is nitpicking, John, on every stupid thing. Instead of talking about, hey, they've had great conversations with China, great conversations and meetings with Japan, they fixed all the problems in Australia, the issues that were going on. Trump is making a tremendous headway in a number of ways. And what they want to concentrate on are these nitpicking, stupid nuances. Spicer might have said something the wrong way, or he wore the wrong color suit, or they just keep doing stupid ass stuff that just drives me absolutely nuts. There's a part of me that says, I don't know who, it's got to be somebody that was already in the Department of Justice as an attorney who drafted this executive order and really did a disservice to Donald Trump. Because they should have known that there were 2 or 3 areas in there that were going to cause controversy. They could have removed those right away and the thing would have been just fine, which is exactly what he's going to do now. And I hope they fire that son of a gun that was representing the United States before the Ninth Circuit.
Well, in fact, I want to talk about that when we get back. We got to go to commercial break here in a minute, but I want to talk about that when we get back, because I happened to watch the press conference between Sean Spicer and the media the other day, and where they were majoring in the minors, just as you were saying. Everything from Ivanka Trump's endorsement at Nordstrom's, like it really means something, to the controversy over whether the Supreme Court nominee by Donald Trump actually disagrees with Donald Trump's assessment of the judge who put the ban on the travel order. So real interesting conversation, and it'll definitely exemplify and demonstrate how the media is just majoring in the minors. And it's really something. But we got to go to break. And when we come back, we'll continue our conversation here with Bob Cardoso. So stay with us right here. We'll be back in just a moment. There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. The Conservative Syndicate.net, the adults in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring. And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. Okay, hey, we're back. And this is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews. Joe Hakos is off today, feeling under the weather. He'll be back, I'm sure, on Monday. And we're going to connect back with our good buddy over there, Bob Cardoso, over at Robert Cardoso Live. We're going to continue our conversation that we're having about the media and they're majoring in the minors here. Now back to our conversation. I happened to catch the press conference the other day between Sean Spicer and the media. And there was two topics that they were just trying to beat to death. One was the conflict of interest about Kellyanne Conway making a comment that people should buy Ivanka Trump's products, which has been addressed. I guess it is a conflict of interest in that regard. And, okay, give it, but they're making such a big deal. They want to Shavitz out there represent.
It's not a capital crime. It's a faux pas. You just made a mistake, for God's sake. What are they going to do, hang her?
Yeah, well, that's what's really funny. I was making some comments on social media today that Louis Shavitz, who was out there saying, "Oh, we need to do something about this." She overstepped her boundaries, and I think, every time I hear stuff like this, I keep envisioning Hans Blinks from Team America. I don't know if you ever watched that movie, where he stands up in front of the Korean dictator Jong, what's his face, and says, "I'm here to represent the UN, and I have a letter for you that tells you we're very unhappy with what you're doing, and if you keep doing, we're going to write you another letter and tell you how unhappy we're doing," And Jong ends up feeding them to the sharks, that kind of stuff. So it's like...
the interesting thing here, John, is that the media can't do anything about it. The Congress can't do anything about it. In this particular case with Kellyanne Conway, only the President of the United States can do something, and he's already done what he's going to do. Why don't they just let this guy do his job and get the hell out of his way? Well,
that's the problem. They don't want to let him do his job because they have nothing. They have no way of stopping him from doing their job except dragging their knuckles and majoring in this minor deal. The idea that we can create some kind of facade that Donald Trump became president to build his own personal enterprise in the face of everything we know about Hillary Clinton, for crying out loud. And I'm like, boy, you talk about a double standard there. But the exchange basically that went back and forth yesterday between Spicer and the press corps had to do with the comment made by Supreme Court nominee Gorsuch, Neil Gorsuch. Okay. Now, here's the deal. The semantics of it's all semantics. It's how you interpret when and how the comments were made. And Trump has basically come out and said, you guys have taken his comments out of context and applied them to something that he was not referring to. And so Spicer keeps telling the media, they keep coming back and saying, well, Senator Blumenthal told us that nominee Gorsuch said that he was disheartened by Trump's recent attacks on the federal judge. And Spicer says that's not what happened. The nominee has come out himself and said that he was making a generic statement that any comments about the judiciary was disheartening.
But you know what the dumb part about this is? Why not say, okay, so what?
Well, and then the counter argument for people like myself was, well, what about when Barack Obama dressed down the Supreme Court during the State of the Union message?
Oh yeah.
Okay, and
they were sitting right there in front of them. All 9 of them were sitting right there in front of them.
Yeah, and nobody said anything about that, or it was very minimum was said about it. And of course, then the media turns around and counters. Well, it's different the way Obama did it. Obama said he disagreed with the ruling, not that the judiciary was bad or this. Oh, what's the difference? If you disagree with somebody,
John, I don't understand the difference. If you're not doing your job, then you've got reason to be upset, right?
Yeah. Well, what's the difference between saying I disagree with your statement and I disagree with your statement? I think you're a hack.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. So you add a little adjectives there, but you're still saying the same thing, and so what's the big deal? It's like, okay. And here's the irony of it all, Bob. When these confirmation hearings are coming up, especially people like Jeff Sessions and people like this, and the left is out there saying, well, we have a real problem with how cozy Trump's nominees are with them. They're too close. They're buddy, and that means that they won't be able to act independently. Well, let's play the devil's advocate and say this nominee, Mr. Neil Gorsuch, disagreed with Donald Trump's assessment of this judge in the Seattle court that proposed this suspension of his ban. Okay, so you're telling me in one hand you want a judge to be independent and state his opinions outside of his relationship with the president, but if he does it, then somehow that means that he doesn't agree with the president, which means the president's wrong. So, I mean, it's like, okay, you can't have it both ways. You can't sit there and tell me, well, you can't be too tight with the president because you might agree with everything he says, and then when you disagree with him, say, see, that means that the president's not qualified.
You know what? I just think that, you and I have said this over and over and over again. We've got a legislature that is just off the wall here somewhere. Now the Democrats are doing the same damn thing that the Republicans did before, being obstructionists. This is a real, honest chance to get this country back on its feet again. If they would just give the guy the tools, let him. He's got 9 more nominees that they're holding back as long as they can hold back. Everybody's going to go through. We know they're all going to go through. How many millions upon millions of dollars are these legislators spending our money, wasting it for something that is a given already? They're going to get through.
Well, here's the big kicker, just to add a little bit more flavor to this entire thing. The real obstruction that's going on in Congress right now is not the Democrats; it's the Republicans. We had Scott Faulkner on here yesterday. He's one of our new contributors here. He worked in the Reagan administration, and he is currently working with the Trump transition team. And we were talking to him yesterday, and says, things just seem so chaotic. And some of the things that are happening, I have an issue with the Betty DeVos appointment to the secretary position, education secretary, because of her ties to Jeb Bush. And he said, what people aren't grasping is the fact that it is the Republicans that are obstructing things. You think about the fact that these nominations, the one that have been approved by the smallest margins in quite a long time. And it's because some of the Republicans are joining ranks with the Democrats. So we're right back to square one. The Republican establishment colluding with the Democrats to try to undermine Trump because neither side wants him in office.
Yeah. Well, the problem, yes, you're right. The problem that, the disparity that I'm seeing, you're seeing pretty much a party line fight with the exception of, you see McCain and you see Lindsey and you see, what the heck's his name? Ron Paul. These are the guys that are really kind of shifting over to the other side that are getting in the way and almost got in the way of all this stuff. The truth is, those guys need to be made to pay the piper. I think that when this is all said and done and everybody is in their seat, somebody has got to play hell with those guys.
Well, I think the time has come to waterboard John McCain and Lindsey Graham. I mean, these guys, they become the representative voice of the Republican Party only because just because they've got an R after their name. But these are the epitome of what's wrong with Congress today. Is that
they've been around too long, John. That's why I am a proponent of term limits. These guys have been around there too long. They've been sitting in those seats too damn long. We need to get them the hell out of there and get some fresh blood that can think about today, not yesterday.
Yeah. Anyway, we're at the end of our time here, Bob. You got about 30 seconds to plug your show.
Well, you know what? Everybody, go out there and get my app. It's absolutely free. Go to your app store, search Robert Curtis Alive. It's there. It's absolutely free. You can listen to my show 24/7. Hey, John, I love having you back. I'm glad you're back. Look forward to talking to you on Monday.
All right. You take care, my friend. We'll talk to you later on.
All righty.
All right. Okay, guys. Top of the hour here. Edward's Notebook. Pay some bills. And then we'll be back with more of the Conservative Syndicate. We got a lot more for you, so stay here with us and learn something. All right? We'll be right back.
If President Donald Trump is a racist, then pigs do fly, and all is well in Chicago. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, it was so beyond refreshing during a Varney and Company broadcast on Fox recently, where President Donald Trump met with numerous Americans who happened to be black. Individuals ranging from Pastor Darrell Scott and his wife, Dr. Ben Carson, Bill Cleveland, Earl Matthews, and many others. And you know what? They talked about solutions to problems plaguing the American black community and our nation overall. Notice I didn't say complain, badmouth America, or spew hatred. That's because absent from the meeting were hyphenated or bitter African Americans like Jesse, Hey, Where's the Camera? Jackson, Black Lives Matter Gumps, Al Sharpton, and others of that ilk. In fact, those that have eyes to see and ears to hear clearly understand that President Donald Trump is the real deal concerning his desire to solve problems everywhere in our republic, including including black communities. Even thug gang leaders in Chicago have said they want to hear what Trump has to say. Isn't that interesting how the previous Obama administration never inspired such ideas? I'm Ron Edwards.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth. You can continue to blow away the myths with Ron Edwards on Facebook, Twitter, and theronedwards.com.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right. General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
I think the big problem this country has is being politically correct. I've been challenged by so many people, and I don't frankly have time for total political correctness. And to be honest with you, this country doesn't have time either.
Yes, political correctness is out. American exceptionalism is back, ready to re-empower our republic as one nation under God by restoring our unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives, with your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet, weighing against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host of the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos. All right. Hey, we are back. Hour two right here at the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I am your host, John Matthews, along with, of course, my partner in crime, Joe Hakos, who is off today. Again, feeling a little under the weather. We wish him well, and hopefully he'll be back on Monday, ready to go. And along with that, I want to kind of pick up where I left off at in the first hour before we went on with Bob Cardoso over at Robert Cardoso Live. And I was talking about the strategy or the evolution of what we're seeing and the strategy by the left to do everything they can to create enough chaos that will eventually be translated into a narrative of the inadequateness, the ineptness, the unqualified tenure of president in the office of president by Donald Trump. And that's really what's going on here. The left has never been able to win on issues alone, other than to their, radical base. Those who are out there protesting and doing all the things that they're doing, creating the chaos and colluding with organizers and this, that, and the other, because they got nothing better to do when you're dependent on the government and everything's coming from the government, or you hope that everything that you are going to get comes from the government. It's very easy to have a lot of spare time to go out there and be part of a quote-unquote movement to eradicate this republic and turn it into some kind of democratic, socialist, Marxist, socialist, communist, nationalist type hybrid movement or type of government. And that's really what the left wants. It's the evolution from republicanism to basically tyranny. Tyranny under the guise, the false guise, that freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. You let the government take care of your life and you'll have all the freedom in the world to do whatever you want to do, however you want to do it, with whomever you want to do it with. And nothing could be further from the truth. Because as you start to legislate lawlessness, you end up then having to legislate even more laws to curtail the anarchy that lawlessness brings about. And so it's an means to an end to put out the narrative that, the Democrats and the leftists and the progressives, they're all for freedom, when in fact what they're for is using freedom to enslave, to bring you into the collective, becoming dependent on them, at what point in time they can then exercise their jurisdiction because they control every aspect of your life. And freedom becomes something that is not only elusive but virtually non-existent, as any tyrannical run country will show you. Just look at the Middle East. Tell me how much freedom these people have. And yet their government's always telling them that they are serving them and making them freer. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to look and see that is one big lie. But anyway, back to the evolution that I was talking about, and we were talking about the protests that were at the town halls and things like this that are occurring by operatives who are also bringing in real people and the media is trying to portray it all as some kind of spontaneous grassroots movement that everybody's all of a sudden, after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, Donald Trump is the most unpopular president in history of the world. You know, they got to undercut and undermine the fact that President Barack Obama is going to go down in history eventually as one of the most unpopular presidents since perhaps Jimmy Carter, maybe as far back as Franklin Pierce, which, by the way, the irony is not lost to me that Franklin Pierce is related to former President H.W. Bush's wife, Barbara Bush. They give you an idea there. Anyway, so we went from there to the confirmation of Tom Price as head of the HHS, because a lot of these town halls that are taking place right now are about Obamacare. And the left is trying to put up this false front that they're totally against the nomination of Tom Price because he's going to dismantle Obamacare and put all these people that were formerly uninsured back on the uninsured rolls, and not only that, destroy the entire healthcare system. Well, Obamacare already destroyed the entire healthcare system, and I don't know that the Republicans have any better idea how to put it all back together other than to just repeal it and let it go back into the private sector. Release all the regulations and rules, open up borders, allow competition from the international community and the pharmaceutical area, and see if we can't create some kind of supply and demand economics that drives the price down. That's my take on things. But anyway, the idea is the Democrats really want Tom Price in there. They really want somebody that's actually got a plan, who has recently or previously submitted a plan and has ideas about reforming Medicare and Medicaid and doing away with Obamacare and replacing it with private free enterprise. And that's what they want, because now they have their target. This is Zelenskyites, right? They got to have their target. And by being able to have somebody like Tom Price to openly attack on every little thing he does, just like they're attacking Donald Trump on every little thing he's doing, you continue to create chaos, and you allow the public to start looking around going, geez, what's happening? Is the sky really falling? Is it really falling? So I want to expound on that when we get back from our break here. So just stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. We're not arguing. We're explaining why we're right. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you have been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. Okay, we're back, and this is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and Joe should be back with us on Monday, but we're going to give him all the time he needs to recover. Feeling bad today, and we just continue to wish him well and hope for a speedy recovery. And okay, let's get back. I was talking here before the break about this idea of what I'm referring to as kind of the evolution of the strategy that we're going to see for the next 4 years out of the left as the point men. And I really want to kind of express that or accentuate that, because this is not just the left. This is the right also, and or not the right, but the Rhino Corps out there, the Republican establishment. We talked. I don't know how many times we mentioned during the course of the election cycle that we totally expected the Republican Congress to be as adversarial to Donald Trump's agenda as the left will be. That they have proven, especially during the Obama administration, that they're actually in collusion with each other. The idea that they're opposite sides of the political aisle is only an ideology, only in printing. If you were to read the platforms of the Republican Party and the Democrat Party, you would think, oh, yeah, these guys are, they're, what do you want to call it, the two sides of the extreme spectrum of ideology. I'm trying to think of the word. There's diametrically opposed. There's the word I was thinking of. But that is not the case. And it is so evident in the confirmation here of Tom Price, HHS head. One of the things that I was looking at here, I'm looking at an article here of Fox News. Price sworn in as head of HHS to be point person in dismantling of Obamacare. And there's a word that they use in the opening lines of this article that I thought I want to take just a few moments here to expound on, to kind of bring it to the greater point that it isn't the left sitting here obstructing Donald Trump as much as it is the right. If you listened to the show yesterday, we had on Scott Faulkner, who's working with the Trump transition team, and he pretty much verified and validated what we kind of suspected, and that is it is the Republicans much more than the Democrats that are obstructing and hindering Donald Trump from getting his agenda fully underway. And that's something we just kept talking about, is how is Donald Trump going to get the establishment on his side when the establishment has no intention of ever being on his side? Scott revealed to us how the Romney and Bush operatives have already begun to undermine everything that Donald Trump's doing within their respective departments, even leaking information to the media. And the media, of course, is playing it. They're playing it like the left is out there doing it. That is the Democratic side, and they're being so effective in proving and delegitimizing Donald Trump. But it's not just the left. They're in collusion with the GOP establishment. And they use a word in this. I'm going to read you the first paragraph of this article to put the word that I want to talk about in context. I love learning new words. I don't always pronounce them right. And I don't always remember them, but I love learning them. And it says here, it starts out by saying Tom Price was sworn in to lead the Department of Health and Human Services after winning Senate confirmation early Friday morning, placing him in position to lead the way in dismantling Obamacare. It was the Senate's fourth consecutive contested vote for a Trump cabinet secretary. Partisan battles for cabinet posts are usually rare, but the first weeks of Trump's presidency have seen little collegiality between the two sides. There's the word, collegiality. And so I looked that word up because it's a word I've never heard before, to be honest with you. And, I am all-knowing in a lot of areas, and I am the mad prophet, but there are words in the English language that I have yet to encounter. And so I looked this word up, and it says congeniality is the cooperative relationship of colleagues. We know that Congress constantly refers to each other colleagues when they're on the debate floor. What they refer to each other outside of the halls of Congress is another story. But it says that it contrasts. Now, later on in this article, I'll just read you these paragraphs here because this will get to the main point I'm leading up to. It says that in the past 4 decades, when Senate records show, most cabinet selections have been approved overwhelmingly. During that period, no Secretary of State nominee received fewer than 85 votes. The closest tally for Health Secretary was the 65-31 roll call for Obama's 2009 pick, Kathleen Sebelius. Just 4 of 31 votes for Obama cabinet vacancies drew at least 40 no votes, as did only 2 of 34 votes for cabinet positions under President George W. Bush. Now, the implication here is that for the most part, cabinet positions have been overwhelmingly supported, or the president has gotten his nominees in with very little resistance from the other side. That's not entirely true, but I guess in a generalized statement or a generalized way, that's true. But what they're trying to paint the picture here is that there is also opposition on the Republican side to Trump's nominees. And that's what the narrative is being played, that even the Republicans aren't in total agreement. And, when we talked with Bob Cardoso the first hour about the Neil Gorsuch comments, about Trump's comments about the so-called judge who initiated the suspension of his executive order, and the disheartening, how Neil Gorsuch found it disheartening, and the back and forth that's going on between the media and the White House regarding as to the context of Gorsuch's statements. And the whole idea being is that it's supposed to create this idea that even those that are being nominated by Donald Trump and chosen and confirmed aren't in agreement with the president who has given him the post. See, that's the whole idea being that everybody is in disagreement with the election of Donald Trump, even though he was overwhelmingly elected through the Electoral College. Forget the popular vote fiasco. That's irrelevant. Take away 2 states, Trump wins by 3 million in popular vote. So that's an irrelevant and useless argument. But the point being is that the big question I keep asking people is, if this guy is so damn unpopular, how did he get elected in the first place? Well, he got elected by the people. The unpopularity that we're experiencing with Donald Trump is the establishment on both sides of the political asylum. It's not the general public. Of course, you've got Democrats out there screaming, whining, groaning, and moaning. That's what they do. That's their job. That's their function. That's what their whole ideology is based on. Social economic justice. That's the whole mantra of the left these days. So it's not surprising that you've got the whiny minority out there making enough noise, and the media portrays it as the majority opinion of everything that's going on. Some of these polls that are out there, we'll talk about that a little bit later when we get into our fake news segment, which I hope to get started today. But the point being is that there are just as many polls that show that the vast majority of Americans agree with Donald Trump restricting incoming immigrants from these Middle East countries, these 7 Middle East countries that have been known to harbor terrorists, fund terrorism, and send people over here for the purpose of creating cells within our domestic community for the purpose of bringing violence and death to Americans. We know that. And so it depends on what poll you read. And when we get into the discussion about fake news, we're going to spend a whole segment on polls, understanding, because, hey, one thing we did on this show, we told you people the polls were wrong about Hillary Clinton beating Donald Trump by a massive margin. We knew that. And we knew it because what we saw going on compared to what the media was telling us was going on. So we know, and we're looking out there now that most people don't believe that we should just let anybody into the country anymore. This isn't about, send us your huddled masses of terrorists. It's about send us the people that are legitimately have a purpose and a need to come into this country. And there is a process that they must go through. There are laws that pertain to this. This Ninth Circuit ruling, I was reading the segment of the code that Donald Trump claimed was, valid to his issuing of the executive order. And it's plain as day that the president has the authority when he deems necessary to make decisions about who can come into the country and who can't. I had it here pasted in my notes here, but somehow it disappeared. I'll probably look it up later on, or maybe reiterate it later when we get into that discussion. But the point being, I'm getting off topic here, but the point being is that we have collusion, once again, the right from the left. And this whole idea that somehow the Republicans are now empowered and inspired to go out and do everything that Donald Trump wants them to do is a lie, is a fabrication. It is fake news, because the real news is the Republican establishment is just as upset at the election of Donald Trump as any Democrat is, because they are two sides of the same coin. Remember Nancy Pelosi? I think I mentioned it earlier in the week, maybe last week, towards the end of last week when I came back on the show. Nancy Pelosi addressing a questioner at a town hall that she was at about the fact that why is the Democrat Party going to go more left? Are we going to get into democratic socialism? Are we going to become a fully progressive ideological party? And her response was, that ain't going to happen because we're all capitalists. See, so that right there was an admission that they think the same way that Republicans think, or vice versa. Republicans think the same way Democrats think. So let's not fall under the illusion that just because we have a president who wants to do what he says he's going to do, that we have a Congress that's going to go along with it. And so the selection of Tom Price is actually the Democrats' dream, because now they have a viable target, somebody who actually has created legislation that could have been done instead of, if you talk about the repeal and replace, Tom Price had a plan. He has legislation that he has already written. And basically what it is putting money that is normally being delegated by the federal government into the hands of the states and letting the states deal with their health care issues, which is probably about the best way to go if you're going to use taxpayer money for this kind of thing. I'm totally against using taxpayer money for anything like this. This should be strictly free enterprise, private enterprise, supply and demand economics. But if you're going to go that route, if you're going to replace, then let's get some form of federalism going here. Let's allow the states to determine how their healthcare systems are run. And again, by reducing regulations and opening up borders and allowing competition in pharmaceuticals, the states would be able to handle this, or most of them would. Some of them wouldn't. California would want to totally nationalize or socialize the medicine. Probably places like New York, the places that voted for Hillary Clinton en masse. Yeah, they want to socialize medicine, but at least it would be limited to those states. And other states that don't want that want the free market to determine cost and quality of care and everything, it would be that way. And we'd get back to some form of federalism in our government structure as a republic. And it would certainly empower our capitalistic system of the economy. So, but Price is the perfect person for the Democrats to demonize. And so this idea that they were opposed to him, I think is a facade. I think it's a smokescreen. I think they wanted somebody like him, just like they want somebody like Jeff Sessions. They want somebody that they can peg as a racist every time he makes a decision about something. So don't be under the illusion that the Democrats are threatened by anything in the purest sense of the word. They want these people because they feed the narrative of the left. And that is that all Republicans are racist, white bigots who hate everybody who isn't wealthy. That's really it. We got to go to a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got. Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Expand your life with Expandovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Expand your life with Expandovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call. But I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the